Hey everyone. So this episode starts. I'm Kim Beigler and the owner of Ewethful Fiber Farm and Mill. And this episode starts here at my skirting table. But when I made the video of me skirting, I actually didn't even manage to get into the frame. Just the wool was in the frame, which is the most important. But I thought I'd pop on so you could see me first and then we'll start skirting. So welcome if you are new. I own a wool mill. We've got sheep. I'm a hand spinner, knitter, all of the things, and I talk a lot about wool. And if you're coming back, welcome back. You know me, I just roll with this. So probably I'll repeat what I just said again, but let's get to some skirting wool. Farm and Mill, and I am here at home at my skirting table with a lot of wool, and I'm getting ready to skirt a Romney fleece, I believe. I went on a recent Romney buy, so I've got like 50 pounds or so of wool fleeces, so I'm going to go ahead and skirt one of those. I'm going to do a light colored fleece and hope that you'll be able to see well, and let's do this. If you are new, welcome. I talk a lot about wool, owning a wool mill, processing wool, knitting, hand spinning, all of those things. I even have an online course for learning to hand spin that you can do from your home. And if you're coming back, thank you. I'm a mess as usual because we live on a farm and that's just the way it is. We had the, I'm gonna get in a little closer now so that you can see what's happening, hopefully. We had the vet out today. We have a holistic vet that comes and sees the sheep. Well, she sees a lot of our farm animals. We kind of have a mix of different vets that come out. So she came today because we had one sheep that was kind of drooling out of the side of her mouth. Not so much drooling, but stuff was just kind of coming out, fluid, just basically their, yeah, anyway. Nothing gross, nothing super gross. Our other one has been limping for a little over a month and she's been on something, but it's not really, she's kind of hit a plateau. So anyway, she came out today and blah, blah, blah. We've got a plan of action. And the tooth one, or the one that was drooling a bit, basically has really sharp teeth in her back teeth, and it's probably it's causing her some difficulty, not so much eating, but it could be scraping on the inside of her mouth or her tongue and causing some extra issues there. So anyway, we're gonna weigh out options with that. Okay, so we have got our Romney fleece mostly pulled out. It's a bigger fleece and I have so much wool on my skirting table, I don't feel like moving. So I'm not gonna lay the whole thing out. This is about half of it I've got laid out on the skirting table now, and this just goes to show if you're doing this at home and you don't have a lot of space, the most important thing is that you have kind of a graded thing so that VM and second cuts, anything like that can fall through. That's really most important. However you can make that work. You can do tiny bits of a fleece at a time. You do not need to lay the fleece out in like perfect order for know where the head was, know where it does not matter. If you like to do it that way, great, but it doesn't matter. So I'm just opening it up. This looks like a pretty clean fleece so far. I've got some tips that are really a little bit extra gunky like this. And I know this probably won't wash out super well, so I'm just gonna let those go since there's not that much. If this was a smaller fleece and I was trying to salvage everything, then, you know, so I'm just kind of opening stuff up. I'm looking at the quality of the fleece. You know, you're looking for parts that you can let go. And so what I do is I'll just do a little chunk at a time and then start throwing the stuff I'm keeping back into the bag. Makes it super approachable. I just open stuff up. That way, you know, VM and anything else can fall out while I'm opening up. And then if I like it, I toss it back in, move on to the next section. So here's a second cut, just a little, you know, no big deal. Especially in a Romney fleece, a lot of times some of that stuff will drop out. I'm going to show you a nice chunk of this because it is a really lovely fleece. It is shorter staple. Look at that. Oh my goodness. It's a shorter staple because Maria, who I buy from, she shears throughout the year. So generally they're getting shorn about every 9 months or so, roughly, which keeps it from being a super long Romney, which I appreciate. So far, I'm really not finding much in here. Totally depends. Sometimes there's more VM than others. Maria does do kind of beginning, she does a skirting on them before she sells her fleeces. So I always go back through and do a heavier skirting because I just know what I like at the mill. So I wish I could find something that was troubling. But so far I'm not finding a whole lot. I'm just picking out bits of VM, opening up as I go along. Any second cuts, you know, I don't freak out. I mean, if the whole fleece was second cuts, then that would be a problem. But second cuts happen, and you know, it's not the end of the world. That's how I feel about it. Now, if you're doing a finer wool, it's going to be a bit more of a issue because those little second cuts are not going to drop out. Fine wool does not. Oof, look at that lock right there. You can see it has such a beautiful luster to it. Anyway, fine wools are not going to drop out as well. They're not going to drop out seconds, and they're not going to drop out VM as well as some of these coarser wools. I'm not saying that Romney is a coarse wool, but it's more in the high 20s to 30s generally. And they drop out fiber. So here's a chunk I'm tossing out to the side. Pretty dirty, also pretty short, although it's so cute. But if it's like the length of it is really different, it's probably going to drop out in the machine anyway. So no point in really saving it. And I'm just opening up as I go along, picking out any VM. There might be little bits of poop. Oh, you guys, it's just so gorgeous. There might be little bits of poop. None of that is unexpected in an animal fleece, because basically what they do is eat, make wool, and poop and pee. The life of a sheep. Not a bad life, right? So I just keep taking small chunks of it, opening it up. Of course, if you have a big old beautiful skirting table, then by all means, which I do have, it's just hidden underneath here. I'm going to toss this just because it's a little green, which tells me that it's probably more fecal than it is dirt. That doesn't wash out that well. So we're just flipping through, not finding even a lot of VM to show you all. So I'm going to open this chunk up. It's also just a fun time to get your hands in a fleece, right? So, okay, this is a boring fleece to skirt, you all. I'm sorry. But I can't even find, usually I'll find some chunks of wool that I'm like, that's not really great wool. We'll toss that out. Let's open this guy up. Oh, I feel a little bit crusty in here. I feel like this is going to be still not much, but I did feel like, you know, if you feel that something's crusty, we're probably down towards the britch area. And sometimes you can get away with washing that. I'm going to let some of this go though. So let me lay it out so you can see what I'm talking about. So I have these chunks here that are smaller. They're kind of compacted in together. They're dirty. I'd say there's some poop in there. So we're just going to toss it. And you, generally speaking, will get to a chunk that's going to be a little bit heavier in that, right? If you have a shear that's really not in a super big hurry, a lot of times they'll go ahead, and I'm going to pull another chunk. Yep, there's poop. This is a stunning fleece. Holy cow. So, this fleece is making me very happy. I am going to cold soak it because I just love to cold soak them now. So I'll take this from here, go put it into a bucket, and maybe I'll take you with me, and we'll get this one cold soaking. Just overnight is fine. I just use water from the tap, and it just helps loosen up some of the extra dirt that's in here, especially in the Pacific Northwest, although this is a pretty immaculately clean for a Pacific Northwest sheep. Pretty gorgeous. So I did not toss out very much of this fleece, which is great. That's the ideal, right? There's our fleece all skirted out. We're going to go over and get a bucket going and get this soaking so I can wash it up tomorrow. All right, you all, I thought you might enjoy some of the sounds of the farm. I've got flowers, plants, things everywhere, as you can see. And anywhere I can fit stuff in, and there's so much more room I can fit stuff in. But we're gonna go over here where I have got my bucket that I do my cold soaking in. and we'll get this going. All right, so I am just literally from my hose putting in water into here so it's nice and cool. And then I'm just gonna start, and actually while my hose is still running, if you were doing a fine wool, maybe wait until your hose is done. And when I'm out here now, I'm like in the bright sun, so I can kind of pick at anything else. Hopefully you can see how absolutely gorgeous this fleece is. I think we're gonna just leave this as a Romney fleece. This would be a beautiful sweater. And Romney takes dye really well. It's just a nice wool to work with. It processes really well. Can't say highly enough how much I love it. And I think it's one of the best wools for beginners to start on. So I'm doing a little bit of opening up. Not really. I'm kind of just making little chunks of it, because that way when I take it out, it's a little bit easier. It doesn't all come out as one like giant piece of wool, which would be really heavy. This is a sizable fleece too, which is nice. So I'm just picking away at stuff as I get this in the bucket. And then when I've got it all out, I am going to go ahead and just push it down. We'll go ahead and drop that out. Turn the hose off and just push this in. Easy as that. You'll start to see dirt come in automatically. So you can see how much dirt is in there. Even though it looks pretty clean, there's still a lot of dirt. And I think this really, really helps loosen up those dirty tips, which we do get quite a bit of here in the Pacific Northwest, but you're gonna get it anywhere. It may just not be as mud, but there's a whole lot of dirt in there. And for sheep's wool, the dirt sticks to the lanolin. So if you can get when you get the lanolin off, most of the dirt will come off, but this makes it significantly easier to get the dirt off if it's already a little bit loosened up. It's like soaking a dish, right? If everything's a little loosened up, it's easier to get the dirt off. So we're just gonna throw a lid on this, and that's it. We'll leave that until tomorrow when we're ready to pull it out and get it to the mill to wash. I thought I would just walk you over and let you see the giant amount of hay that we just got. This was yesterday. Terrifying thing for me is watching Mitch drive this beast, but he's a wonderful truck driver. So anyway, there is about 500 bales of hay. Most of this, the back truck with the smaller amount, is actually for us, and the other we were picking up for a neighbor who needs hay. She's got a lot of beautiful sheep, and so Mitch will drop this over early next week, and she'll be hayed up for the year. And that smaller amount is about 100 bales. And we actually have some left from last year that's a little bit less green, and June has done really well on it. So we got less bales this year. So that's mostly for the sheep and alpaca for us. And June will finish off until we need that. And here's just the rest of, everybody's kind of tucked in. You can see one alpaca down there. And the sheep are up in a pasture next to our house, so we can go see them. We'll go see them. Elsie Mae making her grand entrance, and we'll keep walking. Some of this is a mess, so, but you can see some pretty flowers and some laundry along the way. We're actually supposed to get rain tomorrow for the weekend, and here's the spot that is really a mess. I got a lot of work to do in this little corner. But there's some sheepies. So they're right next to the house, and they can see me through the window. And if they feel like they're hungry, which they aren't, because look at all that grass, then they will tell me right through the window when they see me. So there's everybody. We're not going to bug them too much because everybody's pretty chill. Oh, we bugged them just enough. Everybody's napping. You can see the little faces everywhere. It's a beautiful day. And this pasture is so nice and cool. All right, we won't bother them for too much more. Okay, onward we shall go. One last stop on the way is our magnolia tree is just starting to bloom. This has been here since before we bought the place, and it always amazes me the stuff that managed to live around here. I don't know why magnolias are just so stunning to me with those big giant flowers. Not too many have bloomed yet, but we're on the last of our white poppies here. Ooh, I'll show you one more thing because Wendy, if you're watching, you'll love to see how beautiful this hydrangea is. This is kind of some of my newer plantings. But look at that, it's got like black leaves and it's showing up white, but it's kind of a light pale, just a paler burgundy color inside the flower. It's just stunning. Okay, I won't bore you all too much with flowers. But I do have one more thing. Linda, if you're watching, these came from your yard. Some calendula. And I don't think the poppies, there are poppies in there that were blooming. So Linda, if you're watching, you've added some beautiful color to my garden. All right, we are at the mill and I am picking out some Romney wool and some, this is new to me, baby camel and silk. So I already got it. I got it in top form. You can see it's the big strips of top, and I haven't really worked with, I don't know if I've ever worked with camel at all. I don't think I have, but I thought, well, this is just fun. I was ordering some silk and thought, why not spice it up a little bit? And thought that because this Romney was a little bit shorter, that this would make a good combo. So to blend them, I am breaking the top up. So I'm just pulling small strips, like holding it with one hand and then pulling small bits off. And it's kind of breaking, in theory, along its staple length to some extent. Not necessarily, I'm not trying to be exact, but just working my way down the top and breaking it. Breaking top is what we call this. And kind of floofing it up a little bit, although it's super, if I unravel this, it's really floofy already. So I don't need to do much floofing here. Floofing, that's a professional word we use. So I'm just opening it up a bit, and when I stop, I'll let you take a quick peek at it. Actually, that's a good, you can see a nice chunk of camel right there. A little brown chunk in there. Just little chunks that didn't quite get. And there's a guard hair here and there. That's gonna happen with camel. So, but not very many that I've seen. So I'm just gonna finish breaking this up because we're almost there. Otherwise I wouldn't have you sit and watch this. And then we'll turn to the picker where we will start to load it on. And per my usual, I am going to put the camel on the bottom and I will put the Romney on the top layer just so that my machine doesn't get the camel and silk that are a little bit finer don't get caught up in. I'm just looking at little bits of camel, just enjoying myself here. Just so that the picker teeth don't get a little bit hung up on that camel as much. And I'm doing a fair amount. This is probably, it's somewhere between 15 and 20%, enough to be visible in the fiber for sure, but not enough to completely change the entire course of the wool. So I like to add to wool. I don't like to, when I'm blending, I like to kind of add something to it versus completely losing all characteristic of it. So that's just how I tend to blend. Generally speaking, 25% is kind of my usual max. On something like this, I don't do quite as much. I just don't, you know, a little bit's gonna go a long way. And this isn't the most inexpensive product. So I'm just opening everything up so it goes through. Here's a nice staple of this Romney. And of course I'm wearing black. I don't know why I put black pants on today. I knew I was gonna pick this out. Oops, I got buckets falling behind the scenes here. So I'm just kind of laying some of the camel and silk out, opened up a little bit, and then on top of it, I lay out the Romney. And I'm gonna go ahead and let you go watch the other side. And what I will do is condition this, because that camel and silk are gonna increase the chances for more static, although we do have some rain coming, so that will help. Time to do lots of wools that I wouldn't necessarily do, or fibers that I wouldn't necessarily do if it's super dry. And I'm really enjoying this mild beginning of summer that we're having, because it's great milling weather. I can't complain. There are some months where it just is too hot in this building to mill. So, okay, I'm gonna keep working over here and let you all watch what's going on the other side. Okay, here is the fiber coming out the other end, getting blown into the picker room, which is just a shower for those of you that are new. It's just a shower space that holds it in, because otherwise it would go flying around the mill. So I am just finishing up the last little bit of this, and then I am going to turn it off and we'll take a peek inside and see how nice and fluffy it looks. I think it's going to be a really fun little spin. Okay, this is where wearing black is really not going to pan out for the day. I'm going to have to do a serious lint lift after this, because it's going to get real. It will be all over me here. Silk alone just gets everywhere. So there it is, all floofed up, and I'm just going to pull some of it out, and I'll be picking out little chunks as we go. But let me see this chunk. Let's see if you can see in there. There is a little chunk of llama in there. That little brown piece. And llama is not a long fiber, and this silk is not exceptionally long either. So I'm just kind of, as I go, I'm gonna mix it up a little bit, because the more it gets mixed up, the happier it's gonna be. And I think this is gonna be something fun and a little bit different for sure to spin. So I'm excited. I'll hold it up to you all so you can see. It's gonna have just a really faint tint to it. There it is. And boy, is it gonna have luster. Okay, on to the carder next. All right, you all, we are at the carder, and we're gonna do the Romney and Romney camel, baby camel and silk first, because JoJo's fleece always, that Shetland fleece, our sheep JoJo, Jory, I have a new neighbor, and I don't know what goes on next door at the warehouse, but that apparently is what goes on now. Let me close the door real quick, see if it helps a little bit. Okay, so anyway, JoJo's fleece kind of makes a mess. So we're just getting this batch started up. Turn the machine on, and we'll see how it does. And there are little black guard hairs in here from the camel. Sorry, I'm looking for Wishy. To be expected. So we're gonna let that run for a minute. I'm just over here behind you weighing out the next batch that I will put up, because I basically am doing, for those of you that are new that haven't seen the carder before, between these blue lines, I do a specific weight. It can be different depending on what fiber I'm doing. Generally, I run pretty similar now, because I just like how the roving comes out, but I want it pretty evenly laid out between those to the next blue line, because it will make for a more even roving. So, and I'm just kind of laying it out evenly. I have time, so I don't have to rush it as the machine is going in. And in just a sec, we're gonna go over and see it starting to come out. And there's little chunks, I'll show you real quick. You can see kind of the chunks of the camel in here. So let me go like this. And you can see like that's kind of what the camel looks like in chunks throughout here. And we'll pop down here, because we should be coming out now. Yes, loads has come out. All right, I had to stop it. And actually, I forgot to pick up the Jacob that I had just cleaned up. So I'm going to try to get this up away from the Jacob as much as possible. And then we'll pull the Jacob out. And actually, we're going to pull most of this out. We just need enough to do a web. And I'm going to get out of the way. Whoop. And now we are going to get this set up to get the roving going. So before I started this fiber, the last thing I had run was that Jacob, I think from last episode. And so I cleaned the carder out really well, gave it a really good vacuum, ran the carder for several minutes to kind of let any extra fiber fall out. And then usually I would pull that up and we're ready to go, but I forgot. So we're gonna go ahead and get this started, and we're just gonna attach that little bit of web to the hook I have got here. Hopefully I left enough web. I think I did. Doesn't take very much, especially if I close myself in here. And we'll get some roving, hopefully coming out in just a second. Okay, so we're ready to turn this back on. And we have a really rainy day today, which is beautiful for processing. Here we come with our fiber coming out. And it's just gonna have the palest tint to it from that camel and silk. And I think it's gonna be a really, really lovely thing to spin up. I'll spin some before the end here. I am gonna stop the machine really quick just so I can get this loaded, and we'll go take a peek. Oof, yeah, this is gonna be really nice to spin. So I'll have this at, the mill shop is open Friday and Saturday this week because we're doing Skagit will be here doing a trunk show. We've got the mill open for shopping, mill tours, all of that good stuff. And I'll have some of this there. My patron subscribers, I will also set some aside for them. So they will have a big shop update right after the mill shop days, because the stuff I've set aside and whatever is left, they will have access to. So I'm gonna go ahead and start the machine back up here. I'm just making sure my roving on the other end, or my fleece on the other end, is kind of on the carder feed. Sorry, you all. You just get to stare at that fiber for a sec. Okay, let's turn it back on. And I'll take you off so we can go look inside the machine. There it is, dropping in. Ooh, it's gonna be fun to spin. Like I said, I'll spin some. So here it is going in again. And then let's open it up. See it processing. That's gonna be a fun one. We'll go one last time over and see what it looks like coming out. Carding beautifully as expected. Gotta love Romney. Whatever you throw with Romney, it just is gonna card up beautifully. Okay, onward we shall go. All right, you all, I am here at the carder with that Shetland fleece. This is JoJo's fleece, and it is carding up really beautifully. She has such a different fleece. I say this every time I process hers, and she's older now. I think we got her in about 2015, so 2015, that seems terrifying. Is that right? It might be. So she may be just about 10. So her fleece is getting older. She's getting older, I should say, which means her wool's getting a little bit older, but she definitely she's on the finer wool of our Shetlands, and just making sure it's behaving. She kind of has like more of a downy coat to her. She's got a beautiful gray to her. This is a whole year's worth of fleece because she doesn't put out a whole lot, especially these days. And it's just really different from our Shetlands in the rest of the flock. Not in a bad way, but sometimes it's a little 50-50 how it turns out each year. But this year I am thrilled with how it's processing. I couldn't ask for it to be any better. So I'm just gonna make sure this is good, and then we're gonna run over to the other side and let's take a peek. Make sure it's not, oh gosh, it's starting to overflow. We're overflowing, we're close. Oops. So I'm just gonna pop it down there. Neatly pop it down there. And let you see what this looks like. So it's a really beautiful light gray, but she's got a fair amount of gray. So it'll be very light. Let me take you in and you can see it's processing lovely. And probably I'm just gonna have this as a whole fleece. I'll have it at the mill day. And just because it's a small fleece, I'll let it go as a whole fleece. And maybe somebody could get a sweater out of it. It'll probably be £1.50 at most, I would say. And if it doesn't sell there, then it'll go over to Patreon. So, okay, that's what we've got here. You wanna pop inside? You gotta pop inside the machine, right? You gotta. And then I gotta I'm almost done here. So I've gotta get the carder loaded again, but let's pop and let you look underneath. This is where the waist goes. So there's the waist. A lot of just like VM basically in little cuts. She's kind of different lengths, so there it is. I gotta get back to work. Okay, we're gonna go and spin, but I wanted to just show you how that wool that we skirted turned out. Here it is. It washed up really well. Cold soaked it, came here, washed it at the mill like I wouldn't wash any wool, and it turned out really, really well. So we are going to go over and grab a little bit of, I've got to work my way around. The place is a mess because I am getting it ready for our fun shop weekend here. And I've got some fiber under here. So I am going to get set up and we'll spin a little bit of this. All right, we are here at the Lendrum. Wish is like, where is my spot? And I'm gonna do a join here. I'm gonna remember what wheel I'm on. And I have got this Romney Camel silk. And I might need to pull back just a little bit. I'm gonna spin it short forward because, you know, it's just kind of a special wool and it's got that extra special stuff in it. So spinning it short forward. And the fiber, you know, the lengths on this fiber are going to be a little bit different. The Romney was a little bit shorter, but it's definitely not as short as that Camel. So, you know, this just gives you a little more control spinning short forward. Let me get a little bit more into the shot so you can see what I'm doing for those of you that are newer to it. So you'll see I pull forward. I have a very light pinch on it. Very light, so I can feel the fiber still moving between my fingers, but the twist isn't moving back. And my front hand tends to release every time I draft, you'll notice. So that's how light it is that I have a really light hold on it. And then I tend to lift my finger up a bit. I guess it's before I draft. Who knows? I don't pay as much attention, I guess. So yeah, I hold on to it a little bit, super light while I'm drafting. And while my hand's moving forward, I tend to lift up. So this is how much Wish is sitting and smacking up my bare leg right now. Luckily, I have her nails trimmed. So this is spinning out really lovely. Not having any issues really with length. I think it's going to be a nice fun yarn. It's got a beautiful luster. It will still take dye well, even with the silk in it. And the Camel, the Romney is going to pull up a lot of dye. It might not be 100% even, but isn't that what a lot of us like in our yarns these days? Anyway, just a little bit of extra character. So I do have, I'll stop and I do have a little sample here. So hopefully you can see that. There's the sample of it. Really nice. I wouldn't doesn't necessarily, some people may be able to wear it next to skin, others not so much. Just depends on your tolerance to a little bit of itch. But I'm not really seeing guard hairs coming through. I think most of the time the guard hairs drop out because they are heavier. They're gonna, this is from the Camel that would have guard hairs. It's gonna drop out for the most part. It was pretty minimal, and it'll drop out in carding with my machine, the way it's set up. And then even when you're spinning sometimes, like if you're spinning Pygora or anything, a lot of guard hair continues to drop out of the fiber as you're even spinning it. So I'm not noticing guard hairs while I'm spinning or in the yarn. So that's great. Okay, let's turn the camera, and I will say, I'll probably say a quick, don't get distracted, maker soapbox, and then I've got to get to finishing getting the mill set up. So I'll be right there in just a sec. Okay, I have my camera just shot off, so I don't know where it came from, but I'm back. I'm back, and I just wanted to, I actually did a break. Look at that. I didn't join well enough. So, happens to the best of us. Let me find the end here, which sometimes is not so easy. So, I was just mentioning that the mill shop is open this weekend. Black Sheep Gathering is Friday, Saturday, Sunday up in Albany, which is just about 30 minutes north of here. So if you are coming to the festival and you have or haven't been to the mill, come to the mill. We'll be open Friday 1 to 5 p.m. and Saturday 10 to 4. And there will be shopping. Jess from Skagit Woolen Works will be here doing a trunk show, and they are a wool mill up in Washington State. She is teaching a class, kind of a spinning exploration class for those of you that want to learn about wool, start to dip your toes in it, maybe get a drop spindle in your hand, and she's just going to talk about wool and a little drop spindling and kind of introduce some of the other tools in spinning. And on Saturday, I am teaching a spinning 911 class with my friend Sandy, which is kind of a class for beginners. You should be able to spin, for the most part, be able to at least have the vague idea of how to spin a single, even if yours aren't, especially if yours aren't perfect yet, or maybe you're having issues with keeping it together or anything like that. But if you have the basics, this class is for you. Or if you're getting back into spinning, or maybe you don't really understand your wheel, that's kind of what this class was designed for, just to kind of help you feel more comfortable, to get you through some stuck spots as beginners. So you can still register online. So check it out. There's links in the show notes to the website, and it's just in the in-person learning section. So that's going to be really fun. And of course, the mill shop will be open for shopping, and the maker's table will be open. There will be snacks. I'll have the mill set up so I can do little mill tours, or just can if I'm busy. And it's going to be really fun. So come on out and chop some fibers and go to Black Sheep Gathering just up the road. You can make a weekend of it. In the meantime, as far as the maker soapbox, you know I always have thoughts. My biggest thought for this past week, what a cluster. I mean, what a cluster every week, right? But don't get distracted, I think, is what we go back to. Our president has this way of, besides acting like a baby and getting frustrated and then starting to cuss and do silly things on TV, we all do that, but you're supposed to be a diplomat, so let's act like a diplomat. But let's not forget that Trump pulled us out of the Iran deal over nuclear power and their growth with it. So he pulled us out of that deal that we had with them in his first term. Now we're back here where and he's not been able to negotiate new terms with them. He is frustrated, and then we bomb without anybody knowing, with no congressional support, just like, let's do this, basically, and then claims that he has peace talked this thing down. Okay, please. I think we can say it's safe to assume that he maybe isn't the best negotiator, because things are not getting done. Let us not get distracted by the fact that we don't have a deal with Iran. Again, the world does not have a deal with Iran about how far they are going to go with their nuclear power, energy, growth, all of those things, bombs, basically, right? There's no deal there as far as their enrichment, where they're going to stop, because he pulled us out of one, and it's not easy getting a new one. And now this current situation probably not going to make things very much easier. And in addition, still Ukraine and Russia are at war. Still Netanyahu is bombing people, innocent people in Gaza. And the frustrating part to me is that we're basically all sort of pawns in this game, right? Like, civilians in all of these countries just want to live their lives. Like, we just want to feel safe, have the basic necessities, have a good day, right? And then we have these people in power that are playing with all of our lives, right? And they're playing because of power, and it's really frustrating. So don't get distracted. It's not like this has been some game-changing thing that has happened over the past week. It's a bigger mess, right? It's a bigger mess. As are all the other things going on in our world, in our country, dismantling of so much in our country. It's so disappointing. It's disappointing that the White House didn't acknowledge Pride Month. It's disappointing that they didn't acknowledge Juneteenth, that they're just trying to, I'm going to say, not make America great, and doing a really fabulous job at it. So stay strong, everybody. Stay strong. Keep speaking up. Keep going out to march, keep writing letters, keep talking to people, stay educated, right? Like, get your good news sources. I do put a link of many of the ones that I follow or listen to in the show notes. So head there if you're looking for some good places to listen to, and just stay strong. We'll get through this. So if you're not from this country, thank you for continuing to listen through that. If you are in this country, thank you for continuing to listen to this. We're all in it together, that is for sure. So, and one thing I have been struck by is that especially the marches they aren't just for us. When the biggest march in the United States history happens, it sends a message to the rest of the world that doesn't necessarily know how Americans are feeling about what's going on. So stay strong and keep speaking up. Keep speaking up. And until next week, I'm going to head out because I have got a little bit of fiber to process. I got a lot of organizing to do, and I'm so excited to see those of you that are able to make it into the mill. I've heard from people all around the country that are coming out, so that's going to be exciting to meet some of you. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Until next week, stay healthy. Be kind to your neighbor. We all can still have empathy, even if it's not coming out of the administration for the United States. We don't know what our neighbors are going through or what they have been through or how they're perceiving any of this. So just try your best to stay kind. And of course, sit at your wheel, grab your knitting, do whatever it is you need to do to make so many pretty things this week. I will see you all soon, and I hope to see some of you in the mill or maybe hear that you went to Black Sheep afterwards. Thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe. You can find a Ewethful community on Patreon, and take care of yourself. Thank you.